Hello again. For my next series of videos you're going to be seeing me doing some various little modifications to this Jimny. The aim of my project is to bring this SZ4 specification Jimny as close as I can to an SZ5 specification. So that's with all the little extras and goodies that the SZ5 has on it that the SZ4 doesn't. Some of them you can't achieve just because of the way the car's been built. You know, the wiring loom just isn't there for some of them, but for others you can do it. So hopefully we'll be able to at least get a little way to the specification of an SZ5. As you'd have seen in my other videos, I could never understand why Suzuki haven't released this in the SZ5. You know, all other commercial vehicles are now available in quite a high spec interior. People are customizing them and all those sorts of things, but this one is offered in the lowest specification. As I've also said, this specification is very similar to what in the UK used to be called the SZ4. Overseas is called the GA, I think it is, in some markets, and is also probably very close in specification to the new Suzuki Light, the Jimny Light, that the Australian market's going to get. So you'll be able to see some comparisons between the two. In the day there was about a £2,500 price difference between what would have been the SZ4 and what was the SZ5, and the amount of extras on that one, it was a no-brainer. In fact, they actually discontinued the SZ4 in the UK before, but kept going with the SZ5 just because people just didn't go for this lower specification vehicle. On the subject of accessories, this is a commercial. And those of you who are fortunate enough to buy one may be asking, where is the accessories brochure for this? There is one in preparation. I have seen a draft, so I know that there is a accessories brochure in preparation for this one, but to be totally blunt, it's very thin. They're not offering a lot of accessories for this one. It's up to Suzuki UK which accessories they import, and they have decided not to import very many by the look of the brochure. However, they actually haven't discontinued the accessory brochure that was released for these. And not only that, but the bundling that occurs within some of the accessories is still available. So in the commercial thing, you might see things like trim plates and front grills and things like this. And when you look at them, they add up to quite a high price. But if you look at the accessory brochure for the SZ5, you'll see bundles, something like, say, the Urban Pack, which gives you the front grille, some side plates and the rear wheel cover. And although it's still expensive, it actually offers much better value if you're considering getting more than one accessory. So don't be put off by the thin Jimny commercial brochure. Get a look at the SZ5, the old SZ5 brochure, and look at the bundles in there, because you should be able to snap yourself a much better price for some of the accessories than the list price in the standard brochure. So what I'm going to do is walk around and compare these two cars. For those of you who've got an SZ4, you'll be going, well, I know all of that. Okay, but this will point out to people what the differences in spec are, certainly in the UK, and give them an idea what to expect elsewhere, and will point to the ideas that I'm having to do some various upgrades and modifications. So let's go around to the front of the car and start our walk around. From the front, there are actually very few differences to spot. Leaving aside any accessories such as this that we've got fitted to here, the basic, most clear, obvious thing is the difference in the headlights. The SZ5 has got LEDs, so a nice set of high-powered LED headlights on it, and the SZ4 has plain old halogen lights. So if you look carefully, you can see a difference in the internal pattern, and clearly that's the key difference between the two at the front. A more minor thing is the headlight wash wipe system, sprayer system here, that isn't fitted to the SZ4, so you don't get any of the sprayers, you don't get the pump inside the water bottle inside and that, so it is just not there. That also means there's one less switch on the dashboard because the headlight wash wipe was a separate switch. But apart from that, at the front there is very little difference between the two vehicles. In the UK you still get the same fog lamps, with the DRLs built in. So this is all the same spec. I do know overseas that these do change spec from different vehicles. Sometimes they only have the fog lights in with no DRL. Some places they are DRL only and things like this. So watch out for the specification changes there. So moving on down the side. From the side, there's a few more differences to spot. First one is the wing mirrors, or the door mirrors. Here on the SZ5 they are a gloss black finish. On the SZ4 they're just a plain hard plastic finish. They're also on the UK SZ5 they are heated. So they have a mirror heater in them. On the SZ4 or the commercial they are not heated. I know in some markets as well now on what are called Type 2s you get power fold, but we never had the power fold in the UK between either of the vehicles. There's also some minor trim variations. You can see here that this has got a plain black handle there. That's the same on all the colours, it's all black. Here on this one you get colour coded door handles as well. Moving underneath the car, which I'll show you in the still picture here, the SZ5, with it having rear seats, has got an extra bit of strengthening on the chassis rail, which is either to strengthen the chassis rail or is to aid with side impact protection. Okay, as you can see, the SZ4 commercial doesn't have that. Now the SZ4 standard in the UK did have it, so it must be something to do with impact protection for the rear passengers, although again some markets didn't have it. So South Africa, I know, even on all the models they have, do not have that piece of metal welded underneath on the chassis rail. The interesting thing for commercial owners is that actually opens up the South African market for accessories. There's a number of accessories like side steps and rock sliders that are made in South Africa that are made for vehicles that don't have that strengthening on the chassis. And of course other people who imported them couldn't fit them to their UK spec cars. Well, now you can with the SZ4 commercial. On the SZ4 you get the plain black steel wheels. A few people like these. They think it's much more of a rugged look, and it is certainly the same as the old SJ used to have. So you have the steel wheels as opposed to the alloys that you get on the SZ5. Matter of personal taste, I'm actually not very keen on the steel wheels myself, but other people love them. So that's one of the differences here. You will notice in the SZ5 that the floor is raised with a step there. There's a storage box here. So obviously it's got the rear seats in it as well, and there is no handle here to open the rear door, and this panel is slightly fatter than the SZ4. Moving back over to the SZ4, you can see that the floor here is flush with the lip to make lifting things in and out easy. There is still a toolkit under there, but it's obviously not in a posh installation like the SZ5. The door skin here, the door cover is thinner to give you the extra load space, and as you saw in another video, it has the rear opening panel to operate the door lock should you be trapped inside the vehicle. One other difference from the SZ4 as was originally released in the UK is that it has a cigarette power sort of socket here, which the standard SZ4 didn't have. Now, to return back to my spares and accessories rant to Suzuki about not really thinking of everything that could go on here, this is a load space, and what does a load space need really? It needs ways of tying down goods. Why not sell, you know, a rail that fits along here with little slidey hoops on it and that to do a variable tie down? Why don't they do things like that? Why where these little screw fittings are to hold isn't a round loop fitted to strap things down in the back? Or why isn't one available? These have got a nice grille here. This implies that people will be using it for carrying things and maybe using it in their job or work. Well, even if they're not using it in their work, they'll be using it in their hobby. So, you know, for the SZ5, in the SZ5 original brochure, you can get a gun slip, an actual carrying case to carry your gun in. Why haven't they sold clips on here to carry? Okay, not just necessarily a rifle or something like that. Not everyone's going to want to shoot anything, but your fishing rods. I'm a photographer in my spare time. My hobby is photography. Why isn't there clips on here that I could be clipping tripods and accessories and holding them securely in the car? Why isn't there a fire extinguisher clip-on or tool clip-ons for people who want to carry, you know, off-roaders who want to hook on recovery ropes to make them easily accessible? All those sorts of things. Why haven't they taken the opportunity to make an accessory and sell it to the public? Okay, the most common other thing I'm sure these are used for is dog carriers. Okay, we carry our dogs in the back here. You can't get at the moment a proper load liner designed for this. The hard load liners are designed for the SZ5, and it says in the brochure they do not fit. Okay, I haven't tried one yet. You never know, they might well be adaptable. So the only one you can get is a soft nylon one that should fit, but why isn't there one? Why haven't we got an accessory that can have my nice dog's water bowl securely held there for when we go out for a walk? They can have, you know, a water bowl here. I can just top it with water and they can have a drink. I know you can't do it when they're driving and that, but you know what I mean. Just general all these little accessories that could be thought of. Pair of lights that clip on here to help illuminate the area in here. If anyone out there is making accessories and wants to send me some to try, just send me them. But to me, you know, this is something that this car screams out for, is a full and comprehensive list of all these little accessories that people are buying. You know, you'll see me trick this one up. People are buying accessories for these, so why aren't they there? For those of you who are going to ask, by the way, the seatbelt mounting for what was the rear seat is still here. It's up there, the threaded thing, and the cutaway in the trim for the seatbelt lower mounting is there. I still understand that the seat mounting has been removed. I haven't looked under this one yet, but I know that it changes because there's a cross member across here and it's a different part number between the two cars, so there is something significantly different there. Right, moving on to the side. So moving inside the SZ4, we can see that it's a fairly basic but reasonably okay kind of setup. It has a standard stereo. It hasn't got all the sat nav and AirPlay kind of things, but it's got media, it's got USB, it's got DAB if you get it. The UK certainly gets DAB. It's Bluetooth enabled. The USB port down here can take things like an iPod, which is what I've got plugged in there. Air conditioning is the manual version of the air conditioning as compared to the automatic one that's on the SZ5. And quite plainly, looking at this, this is, for instance, when I was talking about upgrading, this is one of the things you're not going to be able to upgrade. It's such an immense change to the vehicle. Apart from that, it's pretty much the same. Up here we have the e-call system, where you can either manually make an emergency call if you are in trouble, or it will automatically call if the car is actually involved in a crash. I believe it senses that the crash was worthy of the airbags going off, so it automatically makes a call. Over here you can see we've actually got a grab handle on the driver's side, which the SZ5 owners don't have. And not only that, but you can't fit it in an SZ5 because actually the bolts are not, the mounting points are not there underneath the roof for it to screw into, and there is the airbag there as well, the curtain airbag, so you don't want to be poking around inside there. Moving down, you'll see that it doesn't have any heated seats, but it still retains on the steering wheel the cruise control. Apart from that, it's also got the standard electronic functions, The hill descent control and stabilisation programs are all still fitted on this model of the car. In summary, therefore, the SZ4 is a little bit more basic than the SZ5, and I have seen people get concerned about that when they're discussing them online. I've seen some concern, for instance, around the Jimny light in Australia and how low spec it is. But in truth, and I was worried about that as well, to be honest with you, but in truth, it's still underneath, it's the same car. It drives the same, it's lovely on the road, it's got the same sense of fun and adventure as the SZ5. There are a few frills missing, and those frills we can make up to some extent by doing various upgrades and modifications. So come with me on the journey over the next few weeks in which I upgrade this one. Not doing sort of off-roading style upgrades, more cosmetic, make it more my car sort of upgrades. So until I catch you further down the road, cheers.